I need your help. There's something in my parents' house, and my family's in danger. In order to tell this correctly, we need to go back to when I was a kid. I've had the same friend since I was very young. Her name is Stacy. She spent a lot of time at my house when we were kids. Sleepovers, playdates, etc. Whenever Stacy spent the night at my house, she was terrified of my room. She said she could see eyes in the closet. She also said when she looked in the mirror, she could see a reflection of a tall woman in a dirty white dress walking in the hallway. She always insisted on the closet door being closed and a sheet over the mirror. We did this routine for so long, I honestly forgot she had a problem with my room. When I was 13, my little sister Shelly was born. To keep her close to my parents, I got a new room in the basement, and she got my old room. She was always very well behaved and happy until it was bedtime. When it was time for her to go to her room, it's like a switch would flip. She would start crying and screaming and throwing the biggest tantrum you could imagine. When we finally got her into the room, she would just come right back out. My parents eventually got one of the toddler door handles and put it on the inside of her door so she couldn't come out. She would scream for a while and eventually fall asleep, always with the light on. One night, when she was about 3, was particularly bad. She cried for hours. We finally decided to see what was going on, because she just wouldn't stop crying. When we opened the door, she had scratches on her arms and a bit of blood. She said there was a bug and it hurt her. None of her scratches were too bad, so my mom comforted her. And when she fell asleep again, she put her back in her bed. We all just assumed she must have scratched herself trying to kill the bug. Eventually, the fits and the crying at bedtime stopped. She is 5 now. About 6 months ago, I walked into her room. She was sitting in front of the closet with the door open. She was mid-sentence when I walked in. I asked who she was talking to. She said it was her friend, Shisha McKellar. I thought it was cute, as she has had imaginary friends in the past. A few weeks later, my childhood best friend, Stacy, was over. I was telling her about Shelly's imaginary friend. I told her how cute I thought it was. Shelly was in the room with us, and she turned away from her cartoons and she said, "Shisha isn't imaginary. She lives in my closet with her cousin Arnold. Shisha is really nice, but Arnold hurts me sometimes, even though Shisha tells him not to." Then, she just went back to watching cartoons like nothing happened. That's when Stacy reminded me that she used to see eyes in the closet in that room. We asked Shelly more questions about what she just told us, and her answers were always consistent. When she had imaginary friends in the past, the names and details were always inconsistent, and nowhere near as detailed. I told all this to my parents. I'm a skeptic when it comes to anything supernatural, and I was freaked out about this. They just brushed me off. They said they're just proud of how creative their little girl is, and that it's nothing to worry about. For months, Shelly would tell me about the girl in her closet. I asked about where Shisha came from, and how she got into our house, but she didn't know. Shelly said when she asked Shisha personal questions, she would just get angry, so she stopped asking questions like that. Stacy and I were both getting very concerned about it, and so we decided to have a sleepover in Shelly's room. We got our sleeping bags, made some popcorn, and watched some movies. We left the closet door open in hopes that Stacy might see something, like she did when we were kids. Neither of us noticed anything strange overnight. We woke up in the morning and the closet door was shut. We didn't think much of it until we realized Shelly wasn't in her bed. I was sleeping in front of the door, so I know she didn't leave the room. We tore absolutely everything out of the closet and didn't find her. We didn't want to tell my parents. She's the baby and the obvious favorite in the family. We were with her all night, and we didn't want them to blame us for anything happening to her. We checked the rest of the house, just in case she managed to get out of the room somehow. When we still couldn't find her, we decided it was time to tell my parents, and went back to her room to grab my phone. When we got into the room, we saw her walking out of the completely empty closet, both of us in complete shock. When we asked her where she had been, she told us she went to Shisha's house just for a couple of minutes. She said when you walk straight into the back wall of the closet, you go through a place with lots of different colored lights. Then you're at Shisha's house. We were trying to understand what possibly could have happened to her. We looked for her for over an hour, and she said she was gone for only a couple of minutes. Then, I saw something in her hand behind her back. I asked her what it was, and she tried to hide it from us. Stacy managed to get behind her, and her face went white, her voice trembling as she asked, "Shelly, why do you have a knife?" I grabbed the knife out of her hand and she started crying. I've never seen this knife before. It looks like something from a museum. The handle seems to be made of bone, and the blade is old and rusted. I asked her where she got it from. She said Shisha's mom gave it to her and told her to kill our whole family with it. Apparently, if she doesn't kill us all in the next week, Shisha's cousin Arnold is going to come and kill my whole family, and Stacy's too. That was 5 days ago now. I don't know what to do. I don't think my parents will believe me. Do we leave? I can't just take my sister and leave my parents. Would leaving even help? The three of us touched the knife. Does that mean Arnold can find us? Is he bound to our house somehow? I've seen a lot of horror movies and never believed any of it before now. Someone, please, help us.